Carol had always taken pride in her strength. At 71 years old, she was still gardening on weekends, carrying grocery bags into the house without asking for help, and playing with her grandkids on the living room floor. She often said, with a smile, that she didn't feel a day over 50. But over the past year, subtle changes began to creep in. Her back ached more often after a day spent tending to her roses. She noticed she couldn't quite reach the top shelf in her kitchen without stretching harder. At first, she blamed it on aging. Natural, expected, nothing to worry about. Then one afternoon, reaching for a potted plant, Carol lost her balance and fell. It wasn't a hard fall, nothing dramatic. But when she tried to get up, she felt a sharp, alarming pain in her wrist. X-rays later revealed a fracture, something that should have taken a serious impact. Yet it happened with a simple stumble. It was a wake-up call she never saw coming. Her doctor explained what she hadn't realized. Bone loss doesn't announce itself with loud warnings. It creeps in quietly, weakening the very structure that holds you together, until one day, a small fall, a simple movement, or even a strong sneeze can result in a fracture. Today, I need to show you the 5 silent signs that Carol missed, signs that your bones might be getting weaker without you even realizing it. Because the sooner you notice, the sooner you can take action to protect your freedom, your independence, and your precious future. Stay with me until the end, because the very first sign Carol experienced seemed so common, so easy to ignore, that she almost missed the danger growing inside her. And if you notice it too, you might still have time to turn everything around. The first silent warning Carol's body tried to give her came through frequent back pain and a quiet loss of height. Changes so subtle that she almost didn't notice. Carol had always enjoyed standing tall. She liked feeling strong, confident, moving with purpose through her days. But over the past year, she found herself reaching up a little more when grabbing dishes from her cabinets. Mirrors that once framed her perfectly now seemed a little too high. And every evening after working in her garden, her back felt tight, sore, and tired in a way she couldn't quite explain. She thought it was normal, a natural part of aging, a small price to pay for staying active. But Carol's doctor later explained that these weren't just normal aches and pains. They were signs that the vertebrae in her spine, the bones responsible for supporting her entire frame, were weakening. Tiny fractures, called compression fractures, had started to form in her spine, causing her back to curve slightly and her overall height to shrink. Over time, the structure of her spine was literally collapsing under the pressure, leading to a subtle but steady reduction in her height and a deep, aching pain that no amount of stretching or rest could fully fix. Carol remembered a moment that now stood out clearly in her mind. She was baking cookies with her granddaughter Emma, and Emma laughed, saying, "Grandma, you look smaller than last Christmas." Carol chuckled at the time, brushing it off, but deep down, she felt a flicker of worry. Her body had been whispering to her for months, and she hadn't listened. If you notice that your back aches more often, that you seem to be getting shorter, or that your posture feels less steady than before, don't dismiss it as just age. It could be your bones, crying out for help before more serious fractures occur. Carol learned that listening to these signs early, before a major fall, before a major injury, gave her the chance to strengthen her bones, protect her spine, and reclaim her stability. And the next silent sign Carol faced showed up not in her back, but in the strength of something she used every day without even thinking: her hands. The second silent sign that Carol's bones were getting weaker revealed itself in a way she never expected, through a weaker grip strength. Carol had always been proud of her hands. They were strong, capable, full of memories, hands that had planted gardens, kneaded bread, braided her granddaughter's hair, and held her husband's hand through decades of life. So when she started noticing little struggles, she tried to laugh them off. Opening jars became frustrating. Carrying grocery bags felt heavier than it used to. Even simple tasks like twisting a doorknob or holding a heavy cookbook for more than a few minutes left her hands sore and tired. She thought maybe it was just arthritis, or maybe she had overworked herself gardening. But what Carol didn't know was that a weakening grip can be an early sign of declining bone density, especially in the wrists and hands. Her doctor explained that as bones lose their strength, the muscles and tendons that rely on them for support start to weaken too. The body senses instability. It loses confidence in its grip, in its ability to hold weights safely. Carol remembered the afternoon she realized something was really wrong. She was lifting a small cast iron pan off the stove, something she had done 100 times before, and her hand simply gave out. The pan clattered to the floor with a loud crash, startling her and shaking her to her core. It wasn't about being clumsy. It wasn't about being careless. It was her body's way of telling her that the foundation of her strength, her bones, needed urgent attention. Weaker grip strength may seem like a minor inconvenience, but it can lead to serious risks. It increases the chance of dropping objects, losing balance, and suffering falls that, with weaker bones, can easily lead to fractures. Carol realized that small struggles with strength were not just part of getting older. They were early cries for help. If you find yourself struggling more often with jars, bags, doorknobs, or anything that once felt easy to hold, listen closely. Your body could be warning you that it's time to take action to protect your bones before greater harm occurs. And for Carol, the next sign appeared not in her muscles, but in something even more delicate, the very tips of her fingers, where another silent warning was waiting. The third silent sign that Carol's bones were getting weaker appeared in a place she least expected, her nails. Carol had always taken pride in her hands, not just in their strength, but in their appearance. She loved keeping her nails neat, sometimes painting them soft shades of pink or blue, the way her mother had taught her long ago. But lately, she noticed changes she couldn't explain. Her nails broke more easily when gardening. They split or peeled even when she wasn't using her hands much. Some days, it felt like no matter how carefully she filed or cared for them, they stayed thin, fragile, almost brittle. At first, she thought it was just dryness, maybe too much time outside in the sun or cold. She tried moisturizers, oils, vitamins, but nothing seemed to make a real difference. It wasn't until her doctor asked about her nails during a routine visit that Carol realized the connection. He explained that fragile or brittle nails can be an early, external sign of internal bone weakness. Both nails and bones share common building blocks, proteins like collagen and vital minerals like calcium. When the body starts to lose bone density, often due to aging or poor nutrient absorption, the effects can show up first in small, visible places like the nails. Carol's body was trying to tell her something, not with loud alarms, but with tiny cracks and splits she had been trying to cover up instead of listen to. She remembered the moment that hit her hardest. Helping her granddaughter wrap a gift, she reached for the tape, and her thumbnail snapped backward with almost no pressure at all. The pain was sharp, but the fear that followed was deeper. If her nails were this fragile, what about the bones underneath? Carol realized then that small, outward signs should never be ignored. They are early warnings, gifts in disguise, giving us the chance to act before bigger problems develop. If you notice your nails becoming thinner, breaking easily, or losing their healthy shine despite good care, don't brush it off. Your body could be whispering about a deeper need, the need to nourish and protect the bones that carry you through life. And for Carol, the next silent sign was one she couldn't hide, because it involved real breaks and real danger that almost cost her far more than just a moment of pain. The fourth silent sign Carol could no longer ignore was the most frightening yet: unexpected fractures and easy breaks. Until her fall in the garden, Carol had never broken a bone in her life. She had endured bumps, bruises, scrapes, all part of a full, active life, but her body had always been strong enough to recover quickly. She trusted her bones without thinking about it. That trust was shattered the day she reached for a potted plant, lost her balance, and landed awkwardly on her wrist. It wasn't a hard fall. It wasn't a dangerous drop. Yet the pain that shot through her arm was immediate and intense. X-rays later confirmed a fracture, a clean break from nothing more than a minor stumble. Carol was stunned. Her doctor explained that when bones lose density and strength, even everyday activities or minor accidents can cause serious fractures. Osteoporosis, often called the silent thief, steals bone mass slowly over years, without causing pain until a break occurs. And it doesn't just affect wrists. It can impact hips, spines, ankles, bones critical for movement, balance, and independence. Carol realized that it wasn't about how hard she fell. It was about how weak her bones had become without her knowing. The very structures meant to protect her were now fragile, vulnerable to the slightest impact. She remembered sitting at home with her wrist in a cast, unable to cook, struggling to open doors, needing help with the smallest tasks. The sense of helplessness was heavier than the cast itself. That was the moment Carol promised herself she would never ignore her body's warnings again. If you experience fractures or bone injuries from minor incidents, slipping on the grass, stumbling on a curb, bumping into furniture, don't assume it's bad luck. Your body might be revealing a deeper problem that needs urgent attention. Carol learned that early diagnosis and intervention could rebuild strength, restore confidence, and prevent future falls from turning into life-altering events. Because losing bone density isn't just about breaks. It's about losing the freedom to live the life you love. And the next silent sign Carol uncovered. The fifth and final silent sign Carol faced wasn't a pain or a break. It was a growing sense of instability. A feeling that her body wasn't moving the way it used to. She began experiencing problems with balance and small, frequent falls that seemed harmless at first, but were quietly telling a deeper story. It started with little moments. Tripping over the edge of a rug she had walked across for years. Losing her footing while turning quickly in the kitchen. Feeling a strange wobble when stepping out of the bathtub, even with both feet planted. She started walking more cautiously, avoiding stairs when she could, and always making sure to hold onto railings, not out of fear, but instinct. Something in her body felt just a little off. Carol's doctor explained that bone loss doesn't just affect strength, it affects stability. Weaker bones, particularly in the hips, legs, and spine, reduce the body's ability to support itself confidently. Muscles start to compensate, joints become strained, and your natural posture begins to shift. This throws off your center of gravity, making you more prone to stumbling. And when bones are fragile, even a small fall can have devastating consequences. Carol remembered one morning when she nearly lost her balance stepping off a curb outside the post office. She caught herself, barely, on a nearby bench, but the scare stayed with her all day. That moment made her realize something important. She wasn't just reacting slower. Her body was warning her, softly but persistently, that she needed to rebuild her foundation before it was too late. Balance issues might seem like a part of aging, but when paired with other signs, back pain, brittle nails, weaker grip, or easy fractures, they could be a red flag waving quietly in the background. Carol began working with her doctor and a physical therapist. She started light balance exercises, gentle strength training, and a daily supplement plan to support her bones and coordination. Within weeks, she felt more grounded, more confident, like her body was beginning to trust itself again. If you've noticed more stumbles, more moments of hesitation when you walk, or even small shifts in how you move, listen closely. Your body might be whispering, something needs your attention now. And before we finish, let me share what Carol wishes every person over 60 could hear. One final truth that could make all the difference. If you're still with me, it means you care, just like Carol did. And that small choice, to stop and pay attention, could be what protects you from something far more serious down the road. Carol's story isn't rare. It's the story of millions of strong, capable people who trusted their bodies until their bones began to betray them. Not out of weakness, but because they didn't hear the quiet warnings in time. Bone loss doesn't always come with pain. It doesn't always come with a dramatic fall. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in a broken nail, a sore back, a shaky step, asking you to act before it's too late. Carol made a decision that changed her future. She chose to listen. She chose to strengthen what was weakening. And today, she moves through life with a body she trusts again, stable, supported, and prepared for many more beautiful years. You deserve that too. You deserve to feel strong when you wake up, to walk with confidence, to hold your grandchildren without fear, to reach, lift, bend, and live fully, not cautiously, but joyfully. So if you saw even one sign of yourself in Carol's story today, don't ignore it. Talk to your doctor. Ask about bone density tests. Start small exercises at home. Look at your diet, your posture, your habits, because your bones are the foundation of everything you do. And if this video helped you, if Carol's journey made you stop and think, please take one more step. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Leave a comment with your experience, your questions, or even a message of encouragement for someone else watching today. We're building a community where aging doesn't mean giving up. It means getting wiser. And it means protecting the life you love, one strong step at a time. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for caring. Until next time, stay grounded, stay strong, and always listen to what your body is quietly trying to say.